Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Behind the Business. Today I am super excited because I'm going to be sharing with you how I scaled from 30K per month to 150K per month in a 12-month period. That is a 5x growth if my math is correct there, and it just happened so rapidly, it felt, especially when I actually had a big breakthrough, which would have been about April 2025, I believe. So a lot of the growth actually happened between April and December of 2025. So it happened really, really quickly, and I can't wait to break down exactly what I did and what shifted for me to go from being stuck at those 30 to 40K months consistently for a couple of years. To be honest, I really felt like I had plateaued and stayed around there, to just absolutely ramping things up consistently and getting to those consistent 100K months, and then getting very, very close to a 150K month right before the year ended, which was so awesome. So let's break it down. But before I get started, just a quick life update, because it's been a while since I've recorded a podcast episode. As you know, I have new episodes that come out every single week, but right before the Christmas break, I had batch recorded, I think it was 6 or 8 podcast episodes. I think it might have been 6, because I just knew that I wasn't going to jump straight back into creating content in the new year, because I was going away with family and just easing into things. So I love to be organized so that you can have that consistency, but I don't have to be on all of the time. But I've run out of episodes, so here we are. And I'm honestly really excited because a lot, like I just said, has actually happened since I recorded those episodes. I believe it was the start of December. Like, a lot of growth even just happened that month alone, and so much has changed since. So I'm super excited for a real update. So just an update from me. We are now at the end of January. By the time this episode is coming out, it'll be the very beginning of February. And I had a beautiful Christmas. I had a beautiful start to January. I eased into things. We didn't start, supporting clients again and working with team again until I believe it was the 5th of January. And then just eased into things, kicked off with a bang, supporting people. It's been an amazing month for not just me, but my clients as well. So that's been really awesome. But then mid-January, I went away for a week again with Geordie's family, and we just had the best time here in Noosa. They all flew up here because we're from South Australia, but we now live in Noosa, and they came up here, and we all got a big Airbnb and stayed together and just went surfing to the beach and everything. So I didn't really work much that week, and yet we've still made over $100,000 for January, and we still have a couple of days left of the month. So super, super cool. Very grateful. Very, very, very grateful is really all my words are, because 1 year ago in January, it was like my slowest month. I believe I'd only just cracked 30K for the month, and it was mostly recurring revenue, right? I wasn't bringing in like sales all the time, whereas now we're bringing in sales most days of the week, which is just, incredible, because so much growth has happened. So that's a bit of a life update. Then the other thing is, because we've had such rapid growth in November, December, and now January again as well, I've been hiring like crazy. That's been really challenging for me, and I feel like it's the first time in a long time I've felt uncomfortable in my business, which is not a bad thing. That's not wrong. Like, whenever you do anything new for the first time, there's going to be discomfort that, happens there. Very, very normal. And so I've normalized or validated the feeling, but it doesn't mean it's not uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable. Learning how to properly hire, properly train, properly delegate. Like, the team I've had up until now have been so self-reliable. Like, they've got initiative, they know what they're doing. Whereas the team I'm hiring now, in terms of appointment setters and dialing and sales closers, it's a bit of a beast. And I'm going to do a whole separate episode on this next week, because I want to be really transparent. This podcast is called Behind the Business, and I want to actually take you behind the business, which is what I'm doing today as well, but on a different topic. So let's dive in. Just needed a sip of my tea. I don't drink my tea once it's gone cold. So I've got a bunch of notes that I want to go through. So the first thing that is just massive as for what supported me to get out of that plateau of being stuck at 30K month was 100% releasing this limiting belief that I had. So like I said, about April last year, I believe it was, more or less, I caught up with my friend who's also a coach, and we were going through my numbers and my data. Like, she would coach me and then I would coach her. By the way, I don't just coach with my friends. Like, I have a business coach, but sometimes when you've got a friend that's at a similar stage in business, of course you're going to help each other and connect. We were just connecting over coffee, and one thing led to another. So do not replace friends for having a business coach. That's not the takeaway here. But nonetheless, we were going over my business, and she is just a really powerful mindset coach, to be honest. And she, long story short, helped me see that I had this belief that anything above 30K per month would be stressful, hard, exhausting, and I would lose all of my freedom. And when she helped me realize that, she then questioned me. She's like, is that true though? Is it 100% true if you were to hit an 80K month that would be exhausting and you would burn out? Because that's a really big value of mine, is like having a spacious lifestyle. The reality is I was very comfortable at 30K months. It's enough money where you're living an above average lifestyle, and it's not too much where things don't necessarily get too complicated, or at least my belief was that it got really complicated at that point. And so she asked me, is it 100% true that you couldn't also have freedom and spaciousness earning double what you're earning now? And I said, I guess it's not true, right? Like, I know people that are earning 300K a month, $1 million a month, and they're happy as shit. So I realized, wow, like I've been telling myself this story that isn't true, and she helped me unpack that. And what's so interesting is that then the very following month, I went on to have a $60,000 cash collected month, so double the previous month. And then the month after that, guess what? I hit my first $83,000 cash month. And if you have 12 of them in a row, you now have $1 million business, which is really cool. And then the month after that, I hit my first $100,000 cash month. So it absolutely just went like this from me having that breakthrough. So that is the first thing, is that if you've got stories you're telling yourself that money is bad and evil and you can't make it, or scaling or growing your business is selfish or hard or exhausting, you know, maybe you have similar beliefs to what I had, or you believe you're not good enough, you're not worthy, you're not this, you're not that, well, guess what? You're going to have a really tough time growing your business. So I had moved through so many money blocks and beliefs over the years in business, but that was one that was way more subtle. Wasn't aware I was telling myself that story. And I think it was because every time a challenge did happen at that 30K per month mark, you know, whether it was a payment failure or an issue with a client or whatever, I hated it. I hated the feeling. So I just assumed, well, if I'm earning double the amount, I've got double the amount of that problem and I hate it. When really I just had to learn how to move through those challenges as a CEO, not make it mean something about me or anything, and just it's a business thing, and realize that I can delegate that, outsource that, and systemize that. And it doesn't have to mean that you get, you know, all these more problems. Of course, when you do make more money, there's more clients, there's more numbers, there's more variables. Of course, there's more of everything, but you can outsource that, you can systemize that, and you can learn how to hold it so that it's not exhausting and overwhelming. Of course, healthy expectations here. You're going to have moments of that regardless of any season you are in business or life. That is life. So it's not about never having a negative feeling or whatever. I do still have that today. And I feel more free now making 100 to 150K a month than I did at 30K a month, you know, being on the other side of it now, like 100% this is better. So for me, it was a very subtle belief that I had, and I'm so grateful to my friend Sam for helping me recognize that and move through that, because that was a big shift, or the beginning of many shifts then. So that's the first thing I wanted to share. The next thing is I doubled down on paid traffic. So I had scaled my business to $1 million cash collected in under 4 years of starting my business, and it was all organically. I didn't touch paid ads whatsoever in that time. And then I got an ads manager after that, and he's amazing. I still work with him today. We've been working together now for pretty much 2 years to the day, which is really, really cool, because I've been in business for about 6 years now. So, but we dabbled in it in that first year. He was figuring it out, I was figuring it out. I was scared to spend too much money on ads. You know, I had to move through all these fears and beliefs as well. But on the other side of that, we doubled down on it. We finally, you know, were getting some momentum, and I had learned a different mindset of like not looking at how much I spend on ads, but looking at actually the ROI and how much I can make on it. And as long as we're making more than we're spending, I don't really care. And so we really ramped it up, and naturally then you have more leads, and then you have more sales calls, and then you have more clients, and then you have more income, right? And so naturally our income really increased because we increased the volume. So sometimes your business model might actually be fine. Your niche might be really clear. You might be posting consistently. You might have, good conversion rate when people do hop on a call with you, in which case your problem is just you need more volume. So pay for more volume if that's what it takes, and then you'll find that that problem that you have right now disappears. I'm not saying this is everyone's problem. You need to know or speak to your coach or join my program, and I'll help you figure out what your actual bottleneck is. You just got to solve for that one bottleneck. I realized that actually I have a very high conversion rate. I also had a belief I wasn't good at sales calls. Sales, and that was another belief I uncovered from my sales coach, who I hired because I thought I was bad at sales, only to realize I'm not bad at sales at all. I'm actually exceptional at sales. And now I really have that belief, and go figure, I convert more as well because I've got that belief. But so that was another thing. But what I was going to say is I realized my conversion rate is actually high and above average, so I just needed more of them. And when I realized that and things like that, naturally we made more money. So that was huge, was spending more on ads because we got more leads, and then we got more of everything else in our case because we have a dialed in funnel. And I think I really just needed to realize things. I think I felt for a long time prior to mid 2025 that I didn't know what I was doing, and I was winging things, or I don't know what my issue was with why I thought that, when upon reflection I am way more organized than the average person, and we actually have an amazing system in place. Because I wasn't looking at the data, I was just making emotional decisions, and I was just believing things based on emotions rather than logic. But then the moment I realized, we have above average conversions here, just let's amplify this, things really shifted. So that is that. So the first thing is I removed that really big limiting belief. Second was I doubled down on paid traffic. Next thing that was a huge shift for me, and this was actually not something someone suggested for me to do, this was something I decided, which was to stop doing a different event every month and instead just run the same event every month and master that. Especially when you're doing paid ad traffic, like you're constantly bringing in new leads, so you can get away with running a different event every time. Whereas if you're only doing organic marketing, well then you would eventually fatigue your audience if you just kept talking about the same event over and over again. Like no one's going to go to the same event 4 times in a row. They might twice or something like that, but maybe not consistently every month. If you're word for word doing the exact same experience, you might have a few raving fans that do that, but not all the time. And so it's important, if you're doing solely organic or you do rely heavily on organic, that you do change it up. But in this instance, I just wanted to master one event for a change before amplifying and doing more different events. So I did that. I decided to go all in on one event, and what a game changer for my business. Oh my God, because instead of reinventing the wheel every month of a different script, a different pitch, different card open emails, different DM templates, different marketing, different landing pages, oh my God, we just use the same one every time. It takes us 2 seconds to set it up for the next event, update the date, the timer, whatever, the automation, you're good to go. And I don't have to do anything now other than just rock up for the event and say the same thing I always say, following the slides, just read off the slides. And I've mastered it and fine-tuned it, and we've now run the same event 12 times in a row, which is crazy. It's getting a bit repetitive for me, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm so incentivized to do it because I now know if I run this, there's a percentage of people that purchase from us. Whereas I suppose when I was changing things up all the time, I didn't know if it was gonna land until I did it. It's kind of more risky, and you've got to go through that phase in the beginning. You've got to be willing to do the reps when it comes to running live events and launching, but I did that and it made such a difference. So I found that to be huge, and I'm still doing that. But now that I've run it 12 times in a row, I am getting to the point where I'm like, okay, I should probably do a different type of event in addition to continuously running ads to that same one, just so I can leverage this email list I've built up and this organic audience I've built up that haven't yet converted into a client. So I think I'm gonna start to alternate between a different one once a month, or the first half of the month, and then the second half of the month do that same workshop again. So I've always got that, people being, nurtured from ads and converting, and then I'm also leveraging that organic side again a little bit more and converting more of them as well, because not everyone will convert just because they watch one of your events. Even if you've got an above average conversion rate, it's not going to be majority of people, right? So It's important to have a mixture of both, but nonetheless, that was a huge game changer to increasing our revenue because I stopped dabbling and I started mastering. And this is something I drill into my clients' mind over and over again. I'm like, we're not going to dabble in anything we do. We master everything we do. So we do less, but we do better. So many people are focused on doing more, but they're dabbling. They're not mastering it. And they wonder why they're not getting results. So for me, that was super huge. Let me have a sip of my tea. The next thing is, I've got 2 more things that I want to share. The next thing is I made data-based decisions. So I sort of touched on this briefly before, but I just was not looking at the data. We were tracking some data, but I would never look at it or make decisions from it. What a mistake that was. I'm not a numbers girl. Failed maths every single year of my existence in school. Absolutely appalling at it, you know, it's almost traumatic. You know, my dad used to yell at me so much if I didn't know the answer to a question that it traumatized me. So if anyone said anything to do with numbers, or God forbid they asked me a maths question, my whole body would shut down. And my beautiful man, Geordie, has helped me heal that through just being so patient and non-judgmental and loving, through asking me questions every now and again regarding maths and not judging me if I said literally the world's worst answer. And I no longer have that fight or flight response, and now I'm not as bad with numbers. Still can't stand maths for the life of me. But I also think majority of what you learn in maths at school is just so pointless. Like, when the fuck am I ever going to use that shit? Anyways, doesn't matter. Point is, I used to avoid numbers. Now I actually look at them and we make decisions on what is the actual bottleneck here. This has been such a game changer. It's like making decisions based on what the actual root cause problem is, also known as your bottleneck. And this is now the approach I teach my clients because it's been such a game changer. I help them figure out what is their bottleneck and we just focus on fixing that. We don't worry about anything else. It's all noise otherwise. Whereas I used to just change everything if something wasn't working, and then you never know what part is working versus not working. And so again, when I ran that same event over and over again, we started to figure out what parts specifically work because we actually had more data on it. And so now I'm really big on like just making data-based decisions, and that 100% grew our revenue because it was logical, not emotional. And then the final thing that I'm going to share with you that helped me scale my business from 30K months to 150K months in a year, or less actually, is that I just got more support. So I've always had a coach. Every single day I've been in business, I've had a coach. I'm a big fan of that, and I don't know what you're doing if you don't have a coach right now. Get yourself a coach. It's insanity to not. I don't care if you've had a previous bad experience, don't let them burn you twice by now not having support to grow. Like, I just would not be earning what I'm earning if I didn't always have a mentor 5 steps ahead of me, teaching me how to get to that next level. They've already done the work, they've already got the data, and it just allows you to grow so much faster. So if you care about speed and you want 2026 to be your year, well then act accordingly, right? So I don't really mean I got more support in terms of a coach because I already had that. I got more support within my business. So this really just freed up my time a little bit more. So the beginning of 2025, I had a virtual assistant. We worked together for 4 years. We just celebrated our anniversary. So cool. She's editing this podcast. Hello. So I've worked with her, and then my ads manager for 2 years. And then I had an appointment setter, still working with all of these people. But now I also have a support coach, which is a game changer because it just means that some of that we can provide more support to my clients, but it just means I've gotten my time back a little bit more so I can focus on scaling the business. So that's been huge. And then I also have more appointment setters now, and I also have 2 sales closers. They all just started. That is another episode. That's another beast of a conversation, but nonetheless I've been getting more support, which is getting me my time and energy back. So that has been huge. So that collectively are all the things that I did to go from 30K months to 150K months. I know that this year is going to be massive because I've got those learnings and we're taking them, and I'm going to get a whole bunch more lessons because that's just life and business. So super excited to see now that I have this extra support and really up-leveled things, and we're in such a good place, and we just keep having our biggest month on record all the time at the moment, that this year is going to be huge. So that is that. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. I hope you've gotten a lot out of this and you've taken at least one thing away that you can implement into your business. If you would like support growing and scaling your business or even starting your business, I'm going to leave a link below for you to book a call with me or one of my scale specialists so we can see how we can help you inside my program, Scale School. Much love.